Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for pro wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. Tonight, Gunther will make his way to Monday Night Raw for the very first time, where there will be a battle royale to find his first challenger on the Red brand, while Becky Lynch will address Trish Stratus, and Cody Rhodes will tell us that there is something that he wants to talk about for about the 10th week running. But joining me to talk about all of this, and of course it's Mailbag Monday too, so we'll be answering your questions. Firstly, Coby Galenzoski. How are you today, Coby?
Been pretty good. This is going to be the last day of my streak for appearing on the Daily Show, and of course, it's always another one of my creations in Mailbag Monday, and of course, we got Raw to talk about, so we got a lot to talk about here.
Absolutely, we do, because it is a stacked Raw tonight. WWE the past week really have started announcing a lot for their shows ahead of time, because usually they announce a lot a few hours before the show, but going into it, maybe only one or two things. So on the daily, we only have a couple of things to talk about, but for SmackDown and for Raw tonight, we have quite a few things. But also joining us here for the first time ever, a new opinion writer on WrestlingRepublic.com, and a brand new on-screen personality here. We have Chase. How are you today, Chase?
I am excellent. Thank you so much, Ben. I'm just very excited to get into today. We have the stacked Raw. Yeah, I'm very excited. Very excited.
Absolutely, we do. It's going to be a banger show. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the Intercontinental Championship Battle Royale. As I touched upon in the intro, Gunther will be coming to Monday Night Raw for the first time. Well, I mean, actually, he did appear on July 4th last year, but it will be the very first time that he appears as Intercontinental Champion on Monday Night Raw. And it's going to be an interesting one. It will be, because there's also going to be a battle royale to find out his very first challenger on the Red brand. I mean, there's a lot of questions about this. Of course, we saw JD McDonough called up in the WWE draft. Could he possibly be the one to win this battle royale and face Gunther? Because I loved the feud between Walter and Jordan Devlin, as he was called back then, in OTT and Ireland. Their feud back in the day, was a few years ago now. It was a banger. It was my match of the year, actually. I think it was 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Might be wrong, though. But it truly was an absolute banger of a match, and I'd love to see them do that in the WWE and do that on the main roster. I think JD McDonough is coming straight in and getting an Intercontinental Championship shot. You know, would certainly be one way to elevate him. But also, another name, possibly Johnny Gargano. We haven't seen much from him. Of course, they reunited the Way in last week on SmackDown. Perhaps Gargano we finally put into a title picture on Monday Night Raw. So who knows? And as for Drew McIntyre, that's a name which we haven't heard in quite a few weeks. Could he shockingly return tonight and win this Battle Royale and go after Gunther once again? There's a lot of theories that could be spoken about here, but Coby, I'll head to you first. What do you think is going to happen in this Battle Royale?
I mean, you kind of touched upon it already, that we just saw on social media circulating that at one of the live events on the weekend that WWE are holding, one of the matches they did was Gunther versus Johnny Gargano. And I think that is a very kind of telling, because normally that's what the purpose of live events is they're going to get people who are working future programs the opportunity to get in the ring, get some experience with working with each other. And at the end of the day, that's what ended up happening. Is this is one of the first times they've probably stepped in the ring with each other, and it's interesting to say that. So do I think Gargano has a really good showing in the entire IC title battle royal? I think he does, unless he does win. Like, he's going to be one of the final few if he doesn't win.
Yeah.
Another good shout is JD McDonough. I don't know what the direction is. I don't know if we see Drew McIntyre on this occasion. At the end of the day, like, there's a lot of names that are gonna almost could debut in this case, and it'd be interesting to see if they do, because there's a number of NXT talent
Yeah,
like
it was.
Bruce could re-debut. Does Chad Gable get a big? Does Chad Gable have a really good run? Because I do think he deserves that in like a battle setting. What are other names we hear? Do we see in this year any of those guys? Maybe. I wouldn't be that keen. Do we see Riddle show up? Odyssey Jones might show up in there. I think he might be one of the ones that last a bit. Ricochet could. Braun probably as well. I don't see. I guess
of course, Battle
Xavier
Royale, big
Woods will be
guys.
in it again. Xavier Woods will be in it just like he just had the match with Gunther. I wouldn't like. I guess the short list I would say is probably Gargano. I'd like to see McDonough in that title picture. I could see Ricochet getting another one. And then if I had to name one more, I'm gonna go Matt Riddle, because I could see them going Matt Riddle and Gunther soon.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't even think of Matt Riddle, but I guess that is certainly a possibility, because we didn't see him on last week's show either. And yeah, you touched upon. I think Gargano could well happen, and that would truly be an incredible match if we did see it happen. And a lot of fans have said, since Gargano was, I guess, called up to the main roster, or returned to WWE on the main roster just after SummerSlam last year, when Triple H took charge of booking. A lot of fans have said since then that Gargano hasn't really lived up to his potential. He's not done as well as a lot of people thought he would. Well, a feud with Gunther would certainly elevate him. I have no doubt about that. And we got Clark Taylor in the comments here saying, "Wicked crew, we've got the BCC in the building, and I'm not talking about the Combat Club. It's Ben, Coby, Chase. Monster shout out, guys. Thank you, Clark, and I hope you're enjoying your day off. Of course, Clark will be back on the show tomorrow. But Chase, what do you think about this Intercontinental Championship Battle Royale? Who do you see winning it?"
So I definitely see actually Johnny Gargano. I think he's going to have great, underdog feud with Gunther and the Imperium. I also think it gives Dexter Lumis, Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, get them involved in it. You're going to have a very exciting feud going into Night of Champions, hopefully. But if not, then Money in the Bank, something like that. I think Gunther going at it with Gargano. You got the classic small man, big man feud. I think it would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen quite a few times now. Gunther's has, similar to Brock Lesnar, does usually have his better matches with smaller guys. Of course, Sheamus was a huge exception to that rule, because that was a banger. But I think it'd be tremendous to see. I don't know. Part of me is just thinking, this could be when McIntyre returns. They've not announced the participants. Why wouldn't they do that unless there was some surprises involved? So I'm hoping for a Drew McIntyre return and for him to have a proper good feud with Gunther. Because, we're continuing it, really. Because, of course, he had the last time we saw McIntyre was at WrestleMania against Gunther and Sheamus. And I don't know. I don't think we've seen the end of McIntyre in the Intercontinental Championship picture. But on to the next match now. We have the Women's Tag Team Champions, Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, defending their Women's Tag Team Championships tonight on Raw. Of course, last Friday on SmackDown, they defended them against Bayley and Dakota Kai of Damage Control. And now tonight, we get to see the rematch where they will defend against Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. And this is one where I just look at it, to be honest with you, and I'm like, I just don't have that much interest in it personally. I really do think that Rodriguez and Morgan will get the win here, because, like I've said on multiple occasions, I really just hope they have a long championship reign, because I think they work well together, first of all, but also long term. Raquel turning on Liv, I think, would just be a monstrous heel turn if done right. I've compared it to Batista and Rey Mysterio on countless occasions, but I really do think they could be the women's division's equivalent to that if done right. But Chase, what do you think is going to happen in this Women's Tag Team Championship match tonight?
So 3 weeks ago, they competed on SmackDown, ended in controversy. I think they just had to clear that up. I too am not like super invested in this storyline, but I think they're really trying to invest you in the Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez chemistry. I think that is to the point. I really want to see more of DeVille. I want to see more of Green doing something that is not just we are a tag team kind of feel with this women's tag team division has kind of been the story of their life. The titles' lives is just, who can we throw together this week? I want to see if they're going to be a tag team. I want to see them be a tag team. Liv and Rodriguez have had great chemistry, I think, in the ring, creating kind of unique movesets, unique spots. But nobody else is really doing that in the women's tag division. I mean, I think even Dakota Kai and Bailey are not so much a tag team as more they are the faction Damage Control trying to go after the women's title, the Raw women's title. So I think it's going to end in a very clean finish for Liv Morgan or Raquel Rodriguez. I think they're going to just, it's probably Liv will get the pin on Green, just in the sense of how that water bottle finish happened 3 weeks ago and that assisted pin. So I don't really. It's going to be a title match on Raw. I think always a title match that has the potential to change hands. On the red brand or on the blue brand is always more exciting than one. Sometimes like, oh my God, is it going to happen? But I don't feel like that kind of atmosphere tonight. I do think it's going to be a retention, and I do think eventually, Rodriguez probably going to return on Liv, and you're going to get that Batista Rey Mysterio moment. But I think that's what the titles are currently used for, is to build up single stars. And that's kind of where I'm at with this match. I do think they had some great spots 3 weeks ago. But
they did. I mean, it kind of does lead to the question now about, what they can particularly, how they can build these championships. Because let's be real here. Over the last however many, it's been a couple of years now since the titles first came into play. Like you said, they've just been tag teams thrown together. And I kind of just want somebody who, tag team like Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez to just stay together for quite some time. And then when the turn happens, it will be more meaningful, but also they'll feel like a real tag team, which of course is just very important. And it's not something we see in the men's division. So why is this happening in the women's division?
Exactly.
Chase, do you have any ideas about who else, what other women's tag teams perhaps they could put together or call up even from NXT to eventually defeat them for the championships?
Isla Dawn, Alba Fire, I believe they're already called up. They're the tag team that can really solidify real tag team wrestling in the women's division, but they also need competition. That's one of the reasons I want Rodriguez and Morgan to stay together, because you have to build up real tag teams. Now I think Liv Morgan was a great main event talent, a great SmackDown Women's Champion, but you have to have tag teams if you're gonna have tag team titles. So Alba Fire, Isla Dawn.
That is a great shout, and of course they've been tremendous down in NXT. So it'd be something which I think that is a fantastic shout you have made there. Of course, both from Scotland as well. So they've grown up together. There's a good story there. They do feel like a legitimate tag team. However, I also do have a feeling that eventually they'll split up too. But listen, Isla Dawn would be a great singles competitor, but still, I just prefer them to just keep that tag team together for a long, long while, because their chemistry together is phenomenal. And yes, they could be the ones to eventually defeat Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez for the women's tag team championships. However, of course, before that happens, they're going to have to figure out this entire NXT championship, NXT women's tag team championship situation, as that is truly a mess right now. But let's now move on to the next topic, which is Shinsuke Nakamura versus The Miz. Over the last few weeks on Raw, we've seen The Miz trying to convince Shinsuke Nakamura that on Raw, he needs somebody to team up with. You cannot be alone. And basically, Nakamura kind of led him on a little bit, and then it's led to this match today. Nakamura challenged The Miz to a match, and I'm presuming it's going to be another fairly straightforward Nakamura victory. I don't think there's really much to this. Of course, he got the victory over Karrion Kross a few weeks ago, so I think they should just continue building Nakamura's momentum until perhaps you can put him in a situation where he could challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship. But Coby, what do you think?
I think that's exactly what you said. Is like this is a match that is probably going to go towards Nakamura to pad his record and continue that momentum. And I mean that's the thing. This could be good. We just saw Miz and Seth Rollins pretty much tear the house down on Raw a few weeks ago, and it was solid. Miz knows how to work. Miz knows what he's doing, and doesn't always get the credit he deserves. Nakamura, this is definitely their attempt of saying, we want to build him back up. We want to put him in a higher spot once again. This is obviously a Triple H move. If you want to go that way, I hope they don't go too much into like Nakamura starting to mock his balls in the middle of the match, because that's what the feud has been about. Aside from you need me to be a tag partner, and what was it, Miz K Nakamura or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the main note I have around this is, as much as Karrion Kross and Shinsuke could have gone longer, it went a nice amount of time. Yes, it was short and cut short because of the draft. This is, well, they're both on Monday Night Raw, these two. My fear going into this match and coming into the future is don't drag this match any longer. Don't give us another rematch in 3 weeks and act like it's going to give us a different result. Don't do the same thing we're having with Cody Rhodes, because Cody Rhodes just beat the Brock Lesnar, and then he's going to have to beat Brock Lesnar once again. And it's just another forced victory. I don't need to see Nakamura have another victory against The Miz. One is enough. So I don't want this feud to be dragged out.
Yeah. No, I think I do agree with you there, Coby. And I think one thing which would be certainly an interesting situation is if perhaps after this they really did just straight away go and have Nakamura go for the World Championship. But do you realistically think, Coby, that they can build Nakamura back in to a main event star?
To build him back into a main event star, I mean, I don't think you're going to get him to the position where like he's the face of the brand. Because as of right now, SmackDown, well, you have Roman Reigns. Monday Night Raw, we have Cody Rhodes and we have Seth Rollins. At the end of the day, I'm never gonna put Shinsuke in that position unless it actually happens. And that's the truth of it. Nakamura is a potential feud for a Cody Rhodes, for a Seth Rollins, for a Finn Balor, for a JD McDonough. You can put him in the position, and he knows how to get his job work. He knows how to do his job in the ring. At the end of the day, you need to use him right. And it's been for the last 3 years, it's been a lot of him going heel for what reason nobody knows, and nobody understood why he went heel. And then it was like, a meaningless US title run and some Jeff Hardy matches, and then it was a Cesaro tag team. Like he was in that position where it's like, he's just there. And I know Triple H wants to put it like, this brand has Shinsuke Nakamura. Yeah. He wants to put him back in that position.
And let's not forget, Nakamura won the Royal Rumble, I think like 4 or 5 years ago now. I mean, I cannot believe that. I mean, at the time when it happened, to be honest, I was shocked. I was like, they're finally booking someone right from NXT. But, of course, that ended up doing that. I'm going to be honest. Your awful
his obsession with AJ's balls. We want to go there. His obsession with giving the low blow.
I mean, every Nakamura feud is somehow related to balls, it seems. But it'll be interesting to see if they can build Nakamura back up. And we've got Clark in the comments here saying Miz stealing one would be all time, but I don't think that's in the cards, unfortunately. I don't know if it would be all time, to be honest. It would make Cross losing a couple of weeks ago make even less sense.
It'd be funny. How bad I guess that's what it is. It'd be funny, but it wouldn't be good booking.
Oh, it'd be awful booking. I'd have to go on another rant about Nakamura and Cross again, and I really don't want to do that.
What else is new, Ben?
Yeah,
always go
that's
on
true.
rants.
That's true. That's true. But one thing that I will not go on a rant about is the next thing, which is which is Mailbag Monday, my favorite time of the week here on the daily broadcast. And you guys today have submitted some real good questions via our Instagram story. As always, if you want to submit questions for next week's episode, every Monday on the Instagram story, we put a little question thing up, and you guys can send in any questions, and we'll answer a few of them on each show. The first question we're going to answer today is from Jacob, and he is asking, who do you think the top 4 WWE stars will be 10 years from now? He's also then saying, hopefully, it's Jimmy Wang Yang. Jacob, I don't know what your obsession is with Jimmy Wang Yang. I really don't. But anyway, top 4 WWE stars 10 years from now. That is a great question. You know me, I think WWE should be building for the future right now. I think they've got tons and tons of really good talent down in NXT, and even a couple, on the main roster who are well under the age of 30 right now. So you can build them up, and you have a lot of time to build them into main event stars, which can eventually go into the mainstream. I mean, the obvious one is the one who's currently being pushed like crazy down in NXT. He just screams WWE. He was pushed to the moon, pretty much from the second he debuted, and that is Braun Breaker. I think that's a no-brainer. It's clear WWE want him to be the next guy, and in 10 years from now, I think he could be the big guy, the face of the company, if you will. Now, another name I have is Carmelo Hayes, who's, of course, doing amazing stuff down in NXT right now. A lot of people are comparing him to Shawn Michaels. A lot of people are comparing him to AJ Styles. But he's still, I believe he's still 10 years younger than AJ Styles was when AJ Styles came into WWE. So Cameron Hayes has a lot. Carmelo Hayes has a lot of time left in WWE to really make an impact. Another one it's a bit controversial, this one, but I do believe he's going to jump over from AEW, and that is MJF. Now, I think the bigger question is whether or not he'll still be in wrestling in 10 years, truthfully. I think it's possible he would have already gone to Hollywood by that point. But I do think that MJF in the bidding war of 2024 will be heading to WWE. And yes, if he's still in wrestling 10 years from now, I believe that MJF will be one of the bigger names in WWE. And I definitely say one of the top 4. Now, when it comes to the final, the 4th name, it's where it gets a little bit difficult, right? Because, I mean, if you look at it, somebody like a Roman Reigns would be 48 then, which obviously sounds quite old, but Brock Lesnar's older than that now. Who else is there? I mean,
I think
Brock
Brock is younger.
older than that. Oh, Brock's younger.
Fair, I think Brock is young. I think Brock is 40-something. I think he's early 40s if I check right now.
Oh, fair enough. For some reason, I thought Brock was a little older there. But I mean, we've got Edge, who definitely is
45.
older. So, okay, 45. So he's a couple of years younger then. But it's still the case of Roman Reigns, in theory, probably still could have an odd match here and there at that age. Like I said, like Edge is doing. But I don't think that's going to be the case, because I think he's going to be out of there by then. Seth Rollins is another one who'll be 47 at that time. So, I mean, maybe, possibly. Cody Rhodes, I certainly think, will be retired by the age of 47, because, I mean, he said before he wants to be done by 40. And there's a few guys on the roster you could still see might be in that 4th slot, because it's really hard to predict, it is. But the 2 names which I'm stuck between for the 4th place is, firstly, Solo Sikoa. Solo, they've clearly got big plans for him. They do. He's very young now. I think he's 30 years old. And he's in the main event picture. Yes, he's not, going for a major championship or whatever, but he's there with Roman Reigns every single segment. People who are tuning in just for the main event type segments are seeing Solo Sikoa on a weekly basis. So they've certainly building him up in that direction, and perhaps he could take the throne from Roman Reigns in that regard. But something about me just doesn't see it with Solo Sikoa. I really hope I'm wrong here, but for some reason he just I just get the feeling that he's going to end up being just an upper, like a top mid-card star. I don't know if I could see him being one of the top 4 guys in the company, and I hope I'm wrong. I could very well be wrong on that one. But the other name is somebody who really, really does not feel like they're going to be in this position 10 years from now, right now. But it's just a guy who I know Triple H believes in. We knew about it in NXT. We saw it in NXT UK, and that is Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne really has time on his side, and because of his style, he will be able to wrestle for a very long time. And I just, maybe I have false hope here. Maybe I do. But I just have a feeling that at some point, I hope soon, Pete Dunne is going to break out from this butch persona, and he's going to become that main event brutal competitor that we have seen from him in NXT. Because I really do think this guy could have major appeal if they book him correctly. But Chase, I'll pass it to you first. What do you think? Do you think out of these 4 guys, if you had to name 4 guys, who do you think it'll be?
I definitely agree with, Braun Breaker. I definitely agree with Carmelo Hayes. But you said something about Carmelo Hayes, Cameron Hayes, or to the moon for Braun Breaker. I actually do think Cameron Grimes is 100%. The guy can change his gimmick appropriately and organically, as shown with his caveman style gimmick to the Ted DiBiase $1 Million Championship feud with LA Knight. I think he has the malleability to continue to do his character organically enough to become a main event talent in WWE. I actually believe that. Probably not one on everybody's list, but I do think Cameron Grimes has the ability to have the staying power. He's only 29, 39 is not, you have Seth Rollins is 37. Yeah. So I think Cameron Grimes is 100% my third. And I actually would be very excited to see MJF in the WWE. So I'm going to hang my hat on a very maybe 4th for that because, he's going to be in Hollywood much sooner than later.
I mean, that is a great point that it's probably likely that MJF will be in Hollywood by that point. Yeah. I mean, Cameron Grimes is a great shout that you said that. I mean, he is somebody who I briefly considered when I was putting together my list because I mean, he got a very quick win on Baron Corbin the other day, which was awesome. And he's already had like 3 characters in his career.
Yeah.
So he's very much similar to Jericho. I mean, I don't want to make those comparisons too early, but he's shown already that he can reinvent himself. So who knows? Maybe he could be the next Chris Jericho. And he doesn't really wrestle a super dangerous style either. So I think there is very easily that possibility that he could become a top star in WWE. But Coby, let's hear yours then. Who do you think will be the next top 4 guys in 10 years in WWE?
I mean, you're stealing the talking points over here. Like, I got Sikoa with a question mark. I got it. MJF written down because obviously that is a good talking point. Odds are he does go to the WWE. Odds are I don't know if he lasts that long. And that's going to be puzzling. And that is not good for WWE. If you're going to pay a lot of money to bring this guy in and he's going to last a short amount of time, not necessarily the best investment. I do believe Seth Rollins is going to be in the position where he's still wrestling, but probably part-time as you can be. I mean, the one name we obviously forgot is LA Knight.
Oh, no. LA Knight will be about 110 by then, Coby. Let's not get into this.
Well, we have to.
Calling for his main event push by them.
I know how to get aroused. I know how to get Ben Allison worked up right here. I mean, the other names Grayson Waller, I think has the potential. I think if I had to compare him to someone right now, I think he is the modern day Miz. Miz is that plug and play that Miz works wherever he needs to be. Waller works wherever he needs to be. To me, Grayson Waller's more of a total package right now than Carmelo Hayes. Does Carmelo have the potential to grow? Of course. Of course, Carmelo can develop and become that bigger star. But to me, I'd put more money on Grayson Waller. Obviously, that's going to change in time. Other names, like obviously the one thing, and of course, if Clark is still watching, we got to mention him. A-Town down Austin Theory. I don't think he is.
Oh, of course. How did I forget him?
You forgot Austin Theory. But and this is the same thing with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns took so many years of being booked in that not that over baby face, but he was that face that were ramming down your throat. And then it took him taking time off for cancer. And then he kind of started to get a booze, and then he wasn't in the main picture until he returned and actually turned heel. What needs to click for Austin Theory to actually become that star? We don't know. Because often we see John Cena, he was a heel, then became a face. Roman started face for so long, then he became the heel and really flourished. Does Austin have the potential to be a top babyface? I don't know.
Yeah.
But is that the click that needs to happen? I don't know. It's a good talking point. Other names that are potential that I think have the potential is Dragon Lee. He has age on his size.
Yeah,
I don't know if he could be the top, but he's going to be like that top Latina or Mexican star. Seth's student Nathan Frazier is another big name that we can talk about. Another name I saw was Tyler Bate, which I think Bate has more potential than Pete Dunne. I do.
Oh, I disagree there. I disagree.
I think Pete Dunne's in the same position as Shayna Baszler. His style might not work on the main roster.
But he can adapt his style very, very easily.
He'd have to.
He will have to. I bang on agree with you there, but he can adjust his style because I've seen him work multiple styles. But Tyler Bate, I'm just not sure if he has the promo ability that Pete Dunne has.
I mean, I haven't seen Pete Dunne knock my socks off either in promos. I mean, those are two names that, I mean, a British star, like if we need someone like, because Sheamus ain't going to last that long.
No,
neither is Drew, but obviously, like they need that top British star. The other name, which he had, I truly believe he has the potential to break out, and he's always been that. He's the Logan Paul of NXT. Logan Paul is always whipping out something new, and in his matches, Julius Creed's delivering everything. And I think he has the potential. If he's stuck with Brutus Creed, I think he doesn't break out. But Julius is athletic. He is strong. Of course, he has to adapt in promos unless you give him a mouthpiece. And this is where I get Ben back on my side. If you put LA Knight with Julius Creed,
oh yes,
I think it's good. I think
yes,
you could sell,
absolutely.
LA Knight would be able to sell us on Julius Creed. Yeah, but that's like there's a lot of names that we can plug and play and talk about. And I mean, those were as much as I'd like to say it, JD McDonough has the potential, but I don't know if he lasts that long. Even though he's been in the business for so long, I don't know how much longer he lasts because he is, if I look right now, I guess he is 33. That is young. That is younger than I thought. For promoting himself of being in the business for 20 years, 33 is young. Yeah, but I mean, like that. Those are the names I would say. If I had to give 4, obviously you got to say Braun Breaker, MJF if he's still in the business. MJF, Carmelo Hayes, I guess, because I think they're probably going to put more stock into Carmelo than they're going to put into Waller. And then the other one I have to say, I think Nathan Frazier. I really think he can be in that position.
Wow. I really hope you're right because he is a tremendous young talent. And I do hope he does break out and really become that star. You mentioned Austin Theory too, who was a name I forgot about. But truthfully, I mean, listen, it's difficult with him because there are sometimes just some stars who it doesn't click with, who are put into those positions and it never clicks. But there are also stars like John Cena, The Rock, Roman Reigns, where they've been in that position and it hasn't clicked, but then eventually it has clicked. And maybe it will click for Austin Theory, or maybe it won't. I mean, Drew McIntyre, it didn't click for McIntyre. He then left the company and he came back and it did click. So I mean, there's a lot of different things they can do there. But I mean, I think we can all agree the future is bright for WWE. So this is why they need to put their stock very quickly and start building these talents very quickly on the main roster up to main event talent. I'll say it again and again. But instead of, building somebody who's, 40 years old, no names, definitely not referencing or dissing LA Knight in any way, Coby.
Oh, you are.
But no, I'm only joking. I do, jokes aside, I do love LA Knight. But yeah, honestly, he could be the next Paul Heyman. And that's a big statement to make, but I will make it because he is phenomenal on that mic. And I think if you pair him with a younger star and even having wrestled with that younger star, similar to what MVP was doing a few years ago, I think that was where he'd be the most beneficial long-term for the company. But now let's talk about the other company, All Elite Wrestling, where we have a question. Let me just double check. It's from David, who you guys will be seeing on the daily broadcast, I believe Wednesday. And David is asking, who is the right person to take the International Championship from Orange Cassidy? And it's a difficult one because AEW's got such a big roster. It's so bloated. But the names which, come to my head, of course, we saw Miro return last week. Miro is somebody who I certainly think, him and Orange Cassidy, I think they'd have a fun match. And I think he's somebody who would certainly elevate that championship. Another person is a younger star who we haven't really seen much of anything from in recent, to be honest with you, since he debuted. And that's Huck. Of course, him and Orange Cassidy did have a bit of a thing together. So perhaps Huck turning heel on Orange Cassidy, that could be interesting. Another one I think about is somebody who, of course, recently came to AEW, and that's Jay White. I personally would prefer to see him going for that AEW World Championship because I think that's where he belongs. But again, it's such a bloated roster that there's so many wrestlers going to be competing for that. So perhaps Jay White is somebody who could beat Orange Cassidy for that championship. Then I'm biased here, but I've loved him for years. Another young talent, and a young talent, dare I say, I don't think AEW are doing justice. Lee Moriarty. I think he'd be phenomenal if pushed. He's got such a great mind for the business as well. So I think that's somebody who, perhaps you could push into that position, but that would take a bit of time. And the other one is Swerve. I think Swerve hasn't done that much since, apart from being in a tag team with Keith Lee, he hasn't done that much in AEW. So perhaps you could push him in a singles run against Orange Cassidy. But Coby, I'll head to you first. Who do you see taking the title of Orange Cassidy?
I mean, we got to go with the younging in Sting, right? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sting, and then the other meme I was gonna say is QT Marshall. No. I mean, you completely stole Swerve Strickland from me, so obviously I'm not gonna say that. As much as it'd be interesting, Pac getting it back, maybe. Mm-hmm. I'm just scrolling. I guess Malachi Black could be interesting, but obviously they're in the trios.
Yeah.
Oh, if this is the direction they are going, because obviously we know Don Callis is in a working relationship with this guy, and Don Callis just turned heel last week. A heel Konosuke Takeshita.
Oh,
that'd be interesting. I think that'd be money. I think because you have Don Callis being the mouthpiece, and then you just seeing Orange Cassidy, even if it was in a promo, Orange Cassidy kind of no-selling Don Callis's aggression in a promo with a thumbs up or something. It obviously is going to be a little bit of comedy. I think if you really are putting your stock into Takeshita, because like Ben says, he has age. He's 27. he really is one of those future players in this company.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
so I mean that's the one that comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, I said it last week as well that I truly do believe that Takeshita will be joining the Blackpool Combat Club for blood and guts match with the Elite, where they'll get back Kota Ibushi, because they've been teasing
What about Heyman?
the Elite tons as well. So I definitely think having him turn heel. But Chase, what about you? Who do you think is the right person to take the title off Orange Cassidy?
So I do think it's the right move, in my opinion, is Miro. I do think that we need to get Miro back into the fray. And I'm actually not like, Orange Cassidy is like super gimmick that he's got going on of doing nothing. And I think Miro could kind of take that title and make a lot of use out of it. However, I'm a big Christian Cage fan. I really want to see Luchasaurus doing something, like really doing something. And I'd love to throw Luchasaurus, heel Luchasaurus into that, because I think that could be a really fun gimmick versus gimmick match with a lot of great talking from Christian Cage and a lot of, again, you said with Don Callis, a lot of nothing from Orange Cassidy. I really want Christian Cage to be involved more in the program as a manager. So I really want to push that. That is my...
Yeah.
Oh,
no, I mean,
there's a thing there. Andrade from Coby.
Oh yes,
Andrade.
I mean that's a question: is how long is his deal?
Yeah,
I don't remember if it was. I don't think he has the 5-year deal that Cole has. I think his deal is up soon. If I had to make a guess, it's either up soon around this time this year, or I guess in a month or two. I guess in a month's time. Or it's in a year and a month. I think I think it's up soon. He's injured, so does he actually come back to AEW? I don't know. I think that is
time on.
I think so. Well, if they want,
of
course they can add. Like they did with Kenny.
Yeah, that's what they.
I mean, do they? I don't know. I mean, I think that's very much a ploy because they don't know if they want. They want to very much negotiate with Kenny. I don't think they could. I think they could care less if Andrade. They want to keep Andrade. I don't think that he's not the Kenny Omega where they want the time to talk to him and speak to him.
He's great in the ring.
Level.
They haven't.
But I don't even think he's he hasn't flourished in AEW.
He hasn't flourished in AEW. He hasn't. You are correct.
Is that the booking? Is that him?
I think it's the booking.
Is that the crowd? Is that his? I don't know what it is. We can speculate about it.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
obviously
he had good matches elsewhere, but not AEW.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, the factor we can mention Charlotte Flair, but is Charlotte, because Charlotte's not going to leave to go anywhere else to go be with Andrade.
No.
Does Andrade return? Because Triple H always thought a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of factors if that deal is up soon.
Yeah, no, that is a great point. Soon. That I didn't even think of Andrade. And I mean, he posted a selfie to Twitter the other day, and he's in really good shape right now, the best shape of his life. So he's clearly preparing for an in-ring return. I still do think it's possible he'll sort stuff out and return to AEW. But if not, if he does go to WWE, that would be a huge get. That would certainly be. Because I've always thought he was somebody who had a lot of potential. Again, I think he's now a few years older than he was at the time when I said I thought he could be one of the top stars in the business. And it's frustrating. See, guys, this is why WWE need to push the younger talent now. Because otherwise you can have an Andrade situation. And I mean, Andrade's still got time. He's fine. They could bring him back and push him. But guys, that pretty much brings us to the end of the show today. Thank you for watching. If you're over on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you're over on Spotify, please give 5 stars and a follow. It really helps us out. Share this with your friends. We're here every day, and we'll be back not the same time tomorrow, an hour later tomorrow, 9 UK time, 4 Eastern, and 1 Pacific, with another new face joining the daily broadcast. See you guys tomorrow, and have a great evening.